Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Wassalatu wassalamu ala khairul mursaleen, Muhammadin al-Nabi al-Ummi, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd, yaqulu Allahu ta'ala fil Quran al-Kareem, Inna Allaha wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi, ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, sallu alayhi wa sallimu tasliman. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Maulana Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Tonight the subject is basically China and Japan. And if we were looking at the rise and fall of nations, and we had an opportunity to advise the people about what stage they're in and how to improve or maximize the use of what they have to make a better world, a better society. Now, the first thing we want to clear up is that the idea about well, who the blankety blank are you people over there advising the world on what they should do? Again, we have some background in history, and after that, we have some record of how we've done over the years as far as forecasting and managing ahead, you know. Well, they say something about history that there's foresight, where you look ahead to try to see things, you know, as far out as you could see. Then there's insight. Insight means that you're looking at things the way they are and seeing, you know, seeing and understanding what's going on. That's insight that you have. That's the present period, that you look into things, you grasp some type of understanding, some strategic motivation behind things. And then there's hindsight. Hindsight, of course, is you look at it more historical, how you look at things that happen. And out of those three categories, hindsight, insight, and foresight, we haven't done too bad as far as combining those three visionary processes and coming up with something that really makes sense. So we chose China for many reasons. Number one is we read all of Chairman Mao's literature, not all of it, but most of it. He was very thorough, and he had the ability to go through a process of revisionism, to revise, well, a strategic management process. You know, look at things, scan your environment, make a plan, then implement that plan, and then accountability where you come, well, no matter what you call it, that's the basic process. Now, about 2018, China put forward a kind of a systematic hope, dream, and aspiration about, as far out as they went was 2049. 2049 relates to their revolution. Technically, in 2049, that would be the 100th anniversary of the Chinese Revolution. So by 2049, they have that real Chinese dream that they've been processing. They have goals for 2040 and 35 and even 25. It was very optimistic. But you know when all of this fitna jumped out about China? When they did that. It showed that they have vision and that they are optimistic about their future. Now, China haven't done nothing to the United States. Technically, okay, if they go by the book, they could say, hey, all those people that was bootlegging CDs, DVDs, and even tapes back in they say, hey, that wasn't organized by the government, it wasn't a governmental process. You know, they got a lot of stuff they can say about it. Whether it's true or not, but one thing is for sure, the government didn't have nothing to do with all of those companies moving over there. Because they were talking clearly 40 years ago about the deindustrialization of America. There's books on it with that very name. So nobody can technically blame China for where they are now, nor for where China is. Because this idea about China anyway, if you go back to the time of Chairman Mao and Deng Xiaoping, Deng Xiaoping, he used to say, it don't make no difference whether the cat is black or white, as long as it catch mice. So it don't make no difference whether the system is socialism, Leninism, communism, as long as it works. That was his idea. Now, Deng Xiaoping, he became premier like maybe about 20 years ago, or a little bit more. And under his leadership, he said, we're not going to antagonize the West. We're going to hold on like the old time Chinese laundryman, you know, that attitude. And it didn't work. He slipped up on Boss Man. When Boss Man looked up, hey man, the Caribbean Initiative, you know about China was down there with the Caribbean Initiative. Right. By now, China had looked up that Belt and Road, and this is really Belt and Road. So China's been on the move. So here's what we want to recommend. If we were counseling anybody, one of these parts is step one. Not only have a Chinese dream, but a global vision for humanity. I say that because everybody that got at this stage in their history, they turned colonial. And they're going to dictate to the world. So what we're saying is that China already has everything that's going for it. So China should want to bring, or it should develop a policy of bringing the world along with it. And here's how it could be done. First of all, they got to eliminate two big problems right away. One is each other. The Japanese, I'll admit, the Japanese treated the Chinese, I mean, it wasn't right, it wasn't fair, it was just unbelievable how the Chinese was treated by Japan. Especially about 80-something years ago in Nanking. The way they just slaughtered and assassinated the people. It was serious. Now I talked to some Chinese from China about this. I said, you know what you guys should do? You should link up. They won't apologize. So, you know, this is what, now the Chinese, they're right. I said, don't worry about it at first. Remember, when you're big, that means you can go back and straighten all the little scores, or you can really evolve. China suffered colonialism like everybody else. Man, it was, and no civilized country should want to repeat European colonialism. Oh my goodness. I'm not saying other peoples of color and all that didn't do, but in our lifespan, remembering last 200-300 years, the last couple hundred years, when people think about colonialism, they think about European colonialism in Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. In fact, Europe had at one time colonized the whole world. It wasn't nobody that wasn't colonized in Africa, but Ethiopia and one other country, Spanish Sahara, one of them, on the other side. So, if you take China and Japan, and they have some unity and harmony, you got number 2 and number 3 in the world. Okay, now we have harmony, but it's a type of specific harmony. And number 1, we're not going to allow nobody to pit us against each other. That's the first thing. You have to eliminate. We're not going to let America shake at China and make them mad at Japan. We're not going to let America rattle the saber at Japan and make them paranoid about the growth of China. I'm going to go forward and backward. That's the first stage. The second stage is Asia. That is North Korea, South Korea, even Vietnam, Cambodia, and all of that. Because as I say, this is the Asian century. But this Thucydides trap that they've had hanging over history has been that every time a system is in decline, an empire is in decline, and another one is rising up, the numbers, they said something like 60%, 67% of the time, something like that. It could be more. That the one that's going down and the one that's coming up, usually they fight each other. Okay. I think physical fighting is basically, hopefully is out of the question, because China and the United States have so many weapons each. And China is just about up there in weaponology. But a few things that China we'd recommend. Number 1, we would recommend that China stay out of an arms race with America. You're just wasting your money. You know, can't use that stuff, right? China's been known for soft power. That's what it should use. First of all, it should review all of its contracts that it has with Africa, Asia, and everybody else. And if there's any imbalance or any advantage that they took because they have more power than others, they should humiliate it right away. Because remember now, this Chinese dream is something that, you know, when they say the American dream, that means we want to fulfill our dream, but it's going to be on the back of everybody else. Right? The American dream, they ain't bringing nobody. In fact, the only people they bring in is other Americans, and that's out of necessity. Right? But during the last decades, they brought the American people along because they were necessary. Now, they're becoming less and less necessary. But here's how the Chinese dream works. Number one, if they use 65% or 60% of their resources and all of that on the Chinese dream, and 40% on bringing the rest of the world with them, Africa, Asia, especially the Muslims too. Here's why. The Muslims, if China got 1.5 billion people, or 1 billion, 200 billion, and 300 billion, whatever they have, the Muslims have 1 billion, 1.5 billion, let's just say this is a round number that everybody been throwing around. China should bring the Muslims along with it. They have to solve one or two little problems. Number one is the Saudis scared the Chinese to death with Salafis, a few Salafis running around. So China panicked and put all the Muslims in. They say, hey, they ain't taking no chances. They don't even take, see, we have to help China understand that everybody don't have to be like them. Number one, even other Chinese, they don't have to be Han Chinese, even Han Chinese speaking. One of the little problems they have with Taiwan a little bit with Hong Kong and others. And you see the American flag popping up in Hong Kong. You see the CIA is everywhere. The American dream is built off their American companies unfairly snatching the wealth of the world. Now, China is already on the way. China had already solved that Asian inferiority complex. Chinese, that everybody was putting on them. No Chinese and dogs allowed. In China. Okay. They done away with that. You have more Chinese heroes, Asian heroes in the movies everywhere. So now nobody's thinking of Chinese as that old stereotype. Even that old foolishness. Remember Charlie Chan them a long time ago?
Who weren't Chinese.
Huh?
They weren't even.
Oh, maybe one number one son was a Chinaman, right. And number 3 son or something.
Right.
But he definitely wasn't no Chinaman. Right. He was Eurocentric. Right. But so number 1 son, the stereotyping people. They're stereotyping people, and you have people running around believing that's the way Chinese. You know, right. But see,
just like that cowboy movie, Paladin.
Yeah. What's his? I forget
Hey
his name.
boy, hey boy.
Something like that.
Hey girl, hey boy and hey girl, or something, yeah.
Yeah, the laundry man and all of that. Okay, now you gotta remember, when I grew up, there was a lot of Chinese laundries, and they just moving out of that. But Chinese laundries, grocery stores, when I was a kid in Oakland, especially East Oakland, all the stores, almost way over 90% of them, were Chinese. Were Chinese. You know the little corner. By the time they finished, they bought up most of the block, and their kids in school, or grandkids in school, they rolling so hard in Berkeley and other places that they not even consider them a minority anymore. And as far as if they get 98% on a test, they want to commit hara-kiri. They want to kill themselves. And white people be happy. I got 98. That's somewhat stereotyping, but it's not far from wrong. I'm talking about what I remember 20 years ago and 30 years ago. They was just on the road.
4 times I sent his wife an article that they put out where they're 4 times, as far as math scores, they're 4 times higher than the U.S. students. So
You take Korea, Japan, China. Hey man, even India, the people that can afford to go to school, they're on the road. But anyway, China's policy used to be like what we're talking about. I lived in Tanzania. That was the railroad that the Chinese built in the 1970s from Lusaka, Zambia to the harbor at Dar es Salaam to bring their products from Lusaka, Zambia. It was a big copper. Zambia had a lot of copper to bring that stuff from there, Lusaka, Zambia. Now, if you looked on the road, the highway that the Americans built from from Dar es Salaam to Lusaka, it was little multicolored babies, all kind of stuff. The Chinese, I don't think there was one. I never saw them. Not one single, and even when the Chinese would make a loan to African country or what have you, it was 1 or 2%. It was just carrying charges.